Morning, everybody. So, we finished up membrane transport on Wednesday, but I know there was a little unrest about it. So I thought starting today off with a little menti review would be a really great way to go. So please bring up your menti.com, hit the code that's in the upper corner of the slide, without using your notes. We're going to try to do this as a study session. Think about the question presented to you. All right, so I have an animal cell that has a concentration of salt on the inside, okay, and that concentration is 50. Okay, I'm never going to make you do math. The numbers are there to give you an idea of how much salt is in there. And I take that cell with 50 salt and I put it inside a solution. Okay, so some kind of water. That water has 100 of salt. Okay, so what I would do is draw out the situation and think about what is going to happen in that situation. And using the three terms that we have for tonicity, what situation does this cell find itself in? Okay, so take a hot second and answer the question. Okay. All right. All right, so let's start by looking at what kind of information in the question is really important. What would we use if we were to tackle this kind of question on, say, an exam? All right. So I'm presented with two pieces of information, right? The amount of salt that's in the cell and the amount of salt that's in the solution surrounding the cell. Every time. Okay. So really, the only thing I really need to garner from this is which is bigger, right? All right, so 100 is bigger than 50. Okay, so I know that outside the cell is more, right, has more salt, okay, than inside the cell. And that's what the question is telling me. Everybody see that? That's the key piece of information there. So, as always, we're going to start, draw myself a happy little cell. Okay, and then draw my scenario. Okay, 50, I'm going to tear this down, or 5 inside, and 10 outside. Okay, more outside than inside. Okay, so all I've done at this point is draw my question. Okay, so now I need to figure out what exactly is going to happen to my probably not so happy little cell, right? So, what do my solutes, the particles or the salt here, what does that want to do? Wants to go in, right? I want to follow my concentration gradient. There's less inside, more elbow room there. That's the direction I want to go. Okay, remember this is a cell in solution, so there's also water I have to worry about. Okay, what direction does the water want to go? Out. Okay, the water wants to go out in vain, trying to dilute or give more elbow room, okay, to the crunched up, over-concentrated salt out here. Okay. So that means if all the water leaves my cell, what's going to happen to it? It's going to shrivel up. No longer happy little cell. Not a happy little cell at all. Oops. Let's change colors. Okay. So, color we haven't used. There's my final scenario. Okay, so now I have 3 words to pick from. Hypertonic, hypotonic, and isotonic. So we clearly didn't like the word isotonic. What does isotonic mean? Equal. All right, so we knew that wasn't it. Okay, so now I have to choose between hypo and hypertonic. Okay, and this is always the hardest. Okay, so remember, here's how I remember this. 2 ways. Here I have teeny shrivelly cell. Not a happy little cell. My teeny shrivelly cell looks like that shriveled little E in hypertonic. Okay? The other way I remember this is these words, remember, are describing the outside solution. Okay? So my outside solution here, okay, has lots and lots, okay, of salt in it. Okay, so the word for lots and lots, hyper, right, like being hyperactive. Okay, so the correct choice here is hypertonic. Okay, so I'd use both of these to choose this. So if I took this on a test, the first thing I'd want to do is bring up the whiteboard feature, draw this out, and convince myself that this is the correct choice. And either way you remember, it's fine, whether it's hyper, right, being lots, hyperactive, and that's the outside space, right, or whether it's our shrivelly little guy, right, being like that shrivelly little E. Either way is going to get you to the correct answer. Okay, any questions on how we tackled this? Is it online? Okay, let's try another kind of question. Maybe. Okay, so this should auto-update on your menti. Okay, so you don't have to re-enter the code. Okay, again, without looking at your notes, what types of transport, still talking about membrane transport, is going to use ATP? Okay, let's take a look at this one. What are we talking about when we're talking about passive transport? What's the key behind this? What's happening here? Say again? Okay, so we have free movement. Okay, what direction? Down our concentration gradient. Mostly. Okay, so this is a key feature of passive transport, right? That we're moving down a concentration gradient, okay, from an area that has no elbow room to lots of elbow room, right? Okay. Remember, when we're talking about this, and we're specifically talking about the solutes. Okay, we keep seeing this word come up more and more. Our book likes to use it. I've used it on and off. But this just means the chunks, right? The salt, the particles. In our analogies, the people. Okay, salt, sugar, okay, our carbon dioxide molecules, and whatever it is, the things. Okay, those are the ones that need the elbow room. Those are the things that are moving around. Okay, all with the goal of reaching equilibrium. Okay, these are the hallmarks of our passive transport. All right, so you guys nailed the daylights out of it. We knew that was definitely not it. So let's look at our other least favorite. Let's skip over to facilitated. Okay, what's the difference between facilitated diffusion and regular diffusion? Protein channels. Which one uses the protein channel? Facilitated diffusion. Why are we using a protein channel? Okay. We're going to get some chunkier guys through. Are we still going down a concentration gradient, or are we going up? Still going down. Okay. So we've added the use of a protein channel. Okay. In fact, this is a type of passive, right? Because we're still going down. Okay, so we're still going to move those solutes or those particles. They're just big solutes and particles. Okay, we just happen to be moving them via a channel. Okay, or a gate. I'm going to switch colors so I don't get too messy here. And what about osmosis? What's osmosis? Okay, good. It's our last resort. What's the definition of it? What are we doing? Moving water. Moving water to do what? To still reach equilibrium of these guys, right? So this is where the mind bending happens, okay? So we're moving water around, okay? But the goal is still to reach equilibrium of the solutes, okay? So we're still worried about the elbow room of the people, okay? And we're reaching that by moving the chairs around, okay? So I'm still worried about reaching equilibrium for the salt, Okay, and I'm doing that by giving them more room, more water. Okay, so since our goal is still equilibrium, okay, can't do that. All right, so process of elimination, whoops, says, okay, you guys definitely still got that one, but we still want to convince ourselves better than process of elimination, right? So what is active transport? Okay, in this case, we're going against the gradient. Right, and that's why it costs us dollar bills, right? So here's our happy little cell. Okay, got a high concentration inside, low concentration outside. Okay, what normally would happen here? It would normally want to flow outside, right? Right? Down its concentration gradient to reach equilibrium. But the cell doesn't want that to happen. Okay, maybe this is calcium and we want to get it inside. Helps the heart pump. Okay, so since we're going against equilibrium, against our, oops, I don't want to cross that out, against the concentration gradients, breaking all the rules, okay, that costs money. Okay, so it's like a toll booth. Okay, you got to charge a fee to go uphill. Okay, so since we're moving these guys against the direction they normally would go, okay, we're going to pay the toll booth man. And that's what we mean when we're talking about active transport. We're actively going against equilibrium, okay, against the concentration gradient. So driving through a toll booth to do it. Okay, and so the only currency we have is ATP, and that's what you pay the toll booth. Okay, any questions about this? Great job, guys. Good online? Quiet at least? All right. Will you reset my recording real quick?